Hi everyone, here's a tutorial for starting your personal mandala in Adobe. You should have already have your artwork drawn, you should have had it photographed using Tiny Scanner, and then you should have emailed that scan to yourself. Now you're on your MacBook, you've opened your email, and you've saved your scan. You want to make sure your scan is also a JPEG, not a PDF, because Adobe cannot work in JPEGs, can only work with JPEGs, not PDFs. And just a refresher, here on the left-hand side is your toolbar. Up here is your menu bar. Then on your right is your windows and panels. They're actually officially called panels, but I call them windows just because it helps you remember that to open something on the right, all these options, you go to window, click it open. I'll open artboard, keep that over there. It popped up down here. Now some of you might have also options will be up here once you activate a tool, but for some of you, options might also be on the right-hand side. So just make sure you look at your interface for Adobe, take your time, see where everything is. And for this project, we're going to go File, you're going to go New, and you want to call this work your initials, so mine are EH, and then Personal Mandala. You want your width to be 15, and you want your height to be 15. You want to make sure this is inches. So if you have it on picas or points, pixels, make sure it's on inches. And CMYK, perfect, and create. Now that you have your artboard, and now you'll see the options menu has activated. Again, some of you might see it over here on the right. But now we're going to place your scanned drawing. So you want to make sure you remembered where you saved it. Mine was saved to my desktop, so I'm going to File. I want to go to Place. I want to go to my desktop, and it's this image. And you'll get a little icon like this. Just click anywhere. It's going to get you a really big version probably. So you can see your artboard is still outlined with this black, but your drawing is huge, no big deal. Remember with Adobe, you can always change the size of anything. That's the beauty of working in vectors. They change size without losing clarity. So, see how the options board has all these options for a tool like a paintbrush or your selection tool? Make sure you click on your artwork and that'll change to say image trace, mask, embed. What you want to do is go to the drop-down menu for image trace. You want to pick probably black and white logo. That's going to be most likely the best one to get the cleanest version of these artworks. Yep, looks pretty clean. If you notice that some of your artwork did not translate, like say you have big gaps in your artwork because your shapes are enclosed, it's probably because you did something in pencil or Sharpie and your weights were different for different lines. So some lines were thick, some lines were thin, and the thin ones might not translate. So if that's the case for you, stop right now, go back to your original artwork, redo it, re-go over all your lines, and then scan it again. If you use Tiny Scanner, you probably don't have an issue because Tiny Scanner kind of gives you an image that already looks a little bit more like this. But if your image doesn't translate, don't go forward. Stop right now, go back, redraw your lines, and then go back into it. So then what you want to do is, I'm going to angle mine like this, and this looks pretty good. I can see that all my shapes are closed. I don't have any opening gaps. I actually think I might have one little gap. That might be a problem later, but it looks like it's okay. So I'm going to hit expand. And now what I'm going to do is resize it so it fits in my artboard, because now everything is a vector. That's why it's all outlined in blue. So I'm going to hold my shift key down. Shift is being held down. I'll get my double arrow and I'm going to drag it in. The reason you want to hold shift down is because if I just drag this without holding shift, I really distort it, and you don't want to do that after all your work on your pie piece. So you hold down shift, so you can actually drag it super awkwardly, and then as soon as you hit shift, it fixes it. And let's make it about that size. We'll probably change the size of it again later. And next what you're going to do is you're on your selection tool, your black arrow. You want to go to your white arrow, which is A on your keyboard. Now my arrow is white. Click, actually, to see what you're going to do. You want to make sure that you delete the background of this image, because right now, if you try and line this up with another pie piece, copy, paste, what's going to happen is all this white stuff around your pie piece won't let you line everything up perfectly. This will happen. So you want to delete this background. The way to do that, and to make sure it's working properly, is show your transparency grid. So you go to View, Show Transparency Grid. You can actually see the white background here. Go to your Direct Selection tool, click On, Off, On, Delete. And now you have all your objects individual. And this little, if you have any shadows like this, you can draw a selection tool, a selection over them, and just hit delete. And now all you're going to do is select everything, hit V for your selection tool, click anywhere on your artwork, it'll activate everything. Once it's been activated, you hit K on your keyboard, that activates your Live Paint tool. And then you start picking your colors and dropping in colors. You can go over here to your color picker. You can pick, let's do, and look, you have your tints, your hues, your tones, your shades. You have all these options. Let's pick something green for the cactus. And now this bug might happen to some of you as well. I picked green, but gray showed up. And that's totally fixable. You want to go to your color panel. Mine's already open, but if your color panel isn't open, you go to Windows, you go to Color, you'll click it, it'll show up over here. See how it shows me my grayscale? Go to your menu, get off grayscale, go to CMYK, and that'll fix it. Now I have my green back. Now that might happen more than once, so remember, you go to Color, go to your menu, go to CMYK, and that'll fix it. And then you fill in all your objects with color. We'll do a demo later on how to add gradients, how to work with a paintbrush, how to add extra features. But for right now, just fill your whole pie piece with all your colors, take your time with it, and then we'll have a new tutorial for the next steps.